Hello, everybody, and welcome back to this Stronger Than Steel podcast. Today is Season 6, Episode 31, Part 2. This is going to be my take on the Steelers versus Seahawks, the victory that the Steelers walked out with against the Seahawks, where they won 23-20. It was a close game. It was about what I expected. I was very close on my score prediction, actually. My score prediction was 24-20, so I got pretty dang close to that. I really thought that by the end of the third quarter, that's where we were going to get to. But unfortunately, the Steelers weren't able to score one more touchdown to take it from 17-24. But that's neither here nor there. All that matters is that the Steelers walked out of this game with a victory. And let's go over what happened in this game. So, I would like to talk about the defense first. And I want to go position by position. I'm going to talk about the most disappointing position in this game, the defensive backs. The defensive backs had a really terrible game all around. It was unfortunate, but it is what it is. There are literally only two, possibly three defensive backs I could point out as being good. The first one, James Pierre. James Pierre, I thought, did a good job. He had a quiet night, but quiet isn't always bad. I thought that he wasn't really targeted as much. I thought he did a good job. He was definitely the best of the cornerbacks. And then Trey Norwood. Trey Norwood played out of his mind. Arthur Millette has been getting a lot of snaps over him lately, but I mean, Trey Norwood had a really big tackle on 3rd and 4 on DK Metcalf. He had another breakup later in the game. He made all three of his tackles count in this game. I mean, he was just a really good player. It was a great breakout for the 7th round rookie, so I was happy with him. And the third is maybe Arthur Millette. I felt like Arthur Millette did solid. He got a tackle for a loss in this game, but I wasn't really considering with the defensive backs that were doing well at first. Now let's talk about everyone else though. Every single other defensive back really had a tough game. Joe Hayden, 3 missed tackles. Then we had Cameron Sutton, 3 missed tackles. Minka Fitzpatrick had a missed key tackle. Terrell Edmonds, missed tackle. Just not all around bad play. I mean, going against Geno Smith, you kind of expect better. I understand the cornerback assignments of Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf are a little bit tougher, but I mean, as we saw with Trey Norwood, like, you got to step up. Trey Norwood stepped up when he was called upon, and he did a really good job for a 7th round rookie. And it's crazy, right? So James Pierre's been in the league for 1 year. He's undrafted free agent. Trey Norwood, he's been in the league for a little, like 5 games, 6 games. We're now at week 7. And he was a 7th round. Combined on the year, they have less missed tackles than Joe Hayden had in this game alone, or Cameron Sutton had in this game alone. They both had 3, and together, James Pierre and Trey Norwood have 2 missed tackles on the year. That is not what you want to see out of your veteran guys. You want to see better tackling, more sound play from your veteran guys, and you would kind of expect that from the rookies, the youngins, and that's not what's happening here. So I definitely want to see Joe Hayden and Cameron Sutton step it up in the future. I mean, there was a few plays where I was like, geez, the tackling is awful. Specifically, the one that comes to mind is that first touchdown drive that the Seahawks had coming out of the half. Alex Collins was able to do whatever he wanted that entire time. I mean, he absolutely gashed them after he was kind of kept in check. He had a good amount of successful runs early in the game, but the Seahawks weren't able to really keep an offense going, so it didn't really matter. But they just basically ran it the entire way. Look at this play by play. Alex Collins, right tackle to Seattle 30 for 5 yards. Alex Collins for 11 yards. Alex Collins for 21 yards. Then Geno Smith actually attempted a pass. DJ Dallas for 5 yards. Alex Collins for 7 yards. Alex Collins for 7 yards. Alex Collins for 5 yards. And then there was also a penalty on TJ Watt for unnecessary roughness as he tried to punch the ball out, and it basically punched Alex Collins in the head. That was called. If you disagree with that, it's, I guess, fair because there was obviously intent to knock out the ball. Alex Collins for no gain at the goal line. It was at the Pittsburgh 2, and then Alex Collins 2-yard rush. So the worst thing that they did was no gain at the 2-yard line. I mean, other than that, though, that entire drive, they didn't have a carry that went for less than 5 yards, and there's about 9 carries on that one drive alone. So that was really bad. The tackling was just, they were not doing a good job getting there. And then there was another one. There was another drive where it was a pass deep to Gerald Everett. It was their very next offensive drive. They were doing whatever they wanted. They threw it up to Gerald Everett, and people should have been there to tackle it. I believe it was Cameron Sutton and Minkah Fitzpatrick. Everett spins out of the two tackles, and then Joe Schobert has to come and clean it up. And by then, they're now at the Pittsburgh 2 again. So just very, very poor tackling, and I was a little bit disappointed with the defensive back room. I've been going on that I don't think Terrell Edmunds is having a good season. It's been a narrative that, oh yeah, he's having a quietly good season. I think that this is not as good as I was hoping. This is not even close. To me, he's having an okay to below average season. He's just been making way too many mistakes and not making enough plays to counteract it. I mean, Terrell Edmunds, since he got in the league, has just never been a guy to get interceptions. I mean, he had one a few weeks ago where it was bounced up and he got it, and yeah, I'm glad that he was able to come down with it on a ricochet, but he's just not a playmaker like that, and he's really struggling in the tackling department and in coverage still, that it's like he's just playing okay at best. Like, he plays okay for some of the game, and then he'll have one really bad play that just really affects the game. So I really want to see him start to step up as well. I think I've talked about it immensely now, though. The biggest travesty is Minkah Fitzpatrick. Minkah Fitzpatrick is playing like garbage right now. I mean, everyone's making fun of Jamal Adams because Jamal Adams is playing like garbage, and he should. I mean, Jamal Adams is playing like garbage, and he's not worth the money. But if it wasn't for Jamal Adams being paid, I'm pretty sure everyone would be looking at Minkah Fitzpatrick like, this guy is ass. Like, he's not playing anywhere close to All-Pro. He's not playing at a Pro Bowl level. He is not even playing at an okay level. He's really, really struggling. He's not making the plays that he did last season to make up for his missed tackles, and he's missing tackles like a madman again this year. So, again, that Gerald Everett 41-yard gain was mostly on him. I remember tweeting about it because I was live tweeting the game. It's like, I was disappointed in Cameron Sutton, but Minkah Fitzpatrick plays safety. The position name is safety. You're supposed to be there in case your cornerback makes a mistake. So yeah, Cameron Sutton got beat and he didn't make the tackle, and that sucks. But Minkah Fitzpatrick was there and he has to make that play. He could at least change it so that the Seahawks are forced into a field goal. Maybe the defense gets a stop. At that point, I understand that they were getting gashed anyway, but you got to give your defense a chance anyway. I was just really disappointed overall with the missed tackles in this game. There was 22 overall, so I can't even just blame the defensive backs because there were just so many in the game. So I feel like this is a good spot to transition to another position group. But I wanted to get up all the missed tackles. I wanted the missed tackle report so I could go over it. So let's go over the missed tackles in total. Terrell Edmunds, 3 missed tackles. Minkah Fitzpatrick, 3 missed tackles. Joe Hayden, as I said, 3 missed tackles. Cameron Sutton, as I said, 3 missed tackles. Devin Bush, 2 missed tackles. Marcus Allen had 2 missed tackles. Both were on special teams. Justin Lane had 1 on special teams. Just basically, yeah, the whole defensive back room just didn't have a good day, even on special teams. Robert Spillane had 1, Alex Highsmith had 1, Isaiah Buggs had 1, then Joe Schobert had 1, and TJ Watt had 1. Let's get to the middle linebackers. I think that's next. Continuing with disappointment, I was very disappointed in Devin Bush. He's just looking not good at all. I understand he's coming off an injury, but he's a guy that's about speed. He was supposed to be kind of like Ryan Shazier somewhat. He gives you a lot of speed in the middle linebacker room, but he's not using it. He looks lazy out there. He looks labored, and it might be because the injury is lingering, but at that point, you might as well play Robert Spillane. Robert Spillane is already cutting into time, and he's playing as the single middle linebacker in certain sets, which that's interesting in itself. When you have Joe Schobert and Devin Bush, you should probably go for the better one or the speed, but they're electing for Robert Spillane. But now here's the thing with Devin Bush, the speed is supposed to make a factor. Like, you're supposed to be making splash plays, and he has been the past couple of weeks with sacks, but I was very disappointed on originally Minkah Fitzpatrick had tried to have a redemption. He forced a fumble, and Devin Bush was right there, and Devin Bush he looked slow to grab it, and he's supposed to use that speed to get it. Later on, Devin Bush did get the fumble that ended the game, so I give him that, but overall, just not a very good game from Devin Bush with the missed tackles and just looking not like he looked disinterested. I'll call it that. He just doesn't look like he's very good out there. Joe Schobert I've been happy with. Joe Schobert I think has been a solid addition. I think he's really good. I think that he's been doing a good job. I mean, he saved the touchdown on the Gerald Everett play after Minka and Cameron Sutton couldn't get him down. And I mean, a middle linebacker running all the way out there because it was on the left side of the field. I was impressed by that. Joe Schobert, I can't really complain about much. He's done solid. And then Robert Spillane, when he had to come in for an injured Devin Bush, looked solid. I mean, he's still he's missing tackles like a madman when he comes in as well, so he's also on that train. But he's now considered the backup. So it's like, how much blame can I put on him for when the Steelers evaluated him? Excuse me. And then said, yeah, you can't be a starter. And now he's coming in, and every once in a while when he comes in, he misses a tackle. So I don't know how to feel about him. So the middle linebacker room, I just don't feel great about. Marcus Allen, I guess, is part of that too, and he missed 2 tackles on special teams. So that's not great either. Now, let's get to some... I've talked about a lot of disappointing. I talked about a great deal of disappointing. Let's talk about something that was really good, and that was the pass rush. The pass rush all game had Geno Smith literally just under pressure every play, it felt like. They were doing an amazing job. I thought that everyone on the pass rush contributed. I thought Cameron Hayward contributed. He had a sack. He had 2 tackles for a loss. He had 9 tackles in this game. Played out of his mind. Just absolutely nuts. TJ Watt, not only did he have 7 tackles, 3 tackles for a loss, 2 sacks, my man had 3 passes defensed. He got into the window 3 times as an edge rusher. Super impressed. He won AFC Player of the Week for it, and he deserved it. He was absolutely great. And then on top of that, he ended the game with a forced fumble. TJ Watt, great game. Alex Highsmith, sneaky good game. I feel like it's one of the least talked about 2-sack performances like from him ever. I mean, or just in general. He had 1.5 sacks, so technically not 2. But he had 7 tackles, and he had 2 tackles for a loss, and he hit the quarterback 4 times. He had the most quarterback hits in the game. He was causing a lot of pressure. He was doing a really good job. I just really liked what I saw from him. Chris Wormley got in there. He combined for that half sack with Alex Highsmith. Chris Wormley also got his hands into the passing lanes, got a pass defense. I was just very, very happy. Isaiah Buggs got a tackle for a loss in this game. I'm trying to see if there's anyone else. I like to... Isaiah Loudermilk didn't put up much because, I mean, he's a backup. I mean, he's not playing much, but I liked what I saw from him. He got 1 tackle in the game. So overall, the front 7, other than the middle linebackers, like the front 4 and the edge rushers, I thought they did a good job. The outside linebackers and defensive line. They really kept us in this game when the defensive backs and the middle linebackers just really weren't playing all too good. And I really appreciate that. They are the reason this game got won. So I kind of feel like that's really it for defense. It's just the story of the game was the pass rush saved the day. The defensive backs need to get better at tackling and just they also had a miscommunication on a play where Freddie Swain would have been wide open for a touchdown. It was that where Trey Norwood had that stop, the 3rd and 4 stop on TK Metcalf. Freddie Swain was wide open. I don't know who the miscommunication was, but that also goes against the defensive backs as sucking. But luckily, Geno Smith was under so much pressure, he dumped it down to TK Metcalf, probably saw Metcalf versus Norwood, Metcalf versus a 7th-round rookie, thought that he'd take the risk, and Norwood came through. And luckily he didn't see Freddie Swain because it would have been a surefire touchdown. So that's something I wanted to point out before. Now let's go to the offense. Let us start with Ben. With Ben, it was a tale of 2 halves. Ben was playing his best football in the first half. I mean, I know that the game didn't start hot when it had been. We started with 3 straight punts, but the defense was able to keep Geno Smith from doing anything, so it was 3 straight punts from them. And then the Steelers were able to finally break through and get a touchdown to Najee Harris from Ben. And at that point, the cap got taken off, and Ben was dealing. Ben was throwing under pressure. Ben was hitting his throws accurately. He was doing a really good job. And I really liked what I was seeing. And he led the Steelers to 2 straight touchdown drives. One, as I said, was a toss to Najee Harris, 5-yard touchdown. And then, well, who actually scored the other one? I don't actually remember. Was it Najee Harris again? Oh my gosh, how could I forget? And one of the coolest play calls I had ever seen. It was very creative. It was a tight end sweep, which I would have never expected with Eric Ebron. It was a rushing touchdown, and it was just so cool to see this brought in. The Bills, funny enough, did it later did it Monday night. They brought it out for Dawson Knox and almost had a touchdown, but it got called back as a penalty. It was a little bit farther away, but I really liked the play call. It was really exciting, really fun, really creative. I really liked that it brought in it, and it kind of shows like Matt Canada's influence shining through. So I really liked that. But yeah, Ben had been dealing and getting them down the field, and Deontay Johnson was balling. Deontay Johnson was just having himself a day in this game. I mean, he was just going nuts. He finished the day with what? He finished the day with 9 catches for 71 yards. He absolutely went off. I mean, he came up big, and he was just huge for the Steelers because he did the most. At least I felt like. Now, following that second touchdown drive is where things started to go wrong. I wouldn't say wrong immediately because the Steelers' defense was able to force a 3-and-out with some time left, and not a lot, but the Steelers had a good chance to get a little bit more points before half. It was 36 seconds left, and the Seahawks had punted after obviously that 3-and-out where they had gone backwards. He was sacked by Alex Highsmith. The punt got only sent to the Pittsburgh 41. However, Steelers weren't able to do anything with it. They were able to gain 3 yards in total and just not do much. And so that's kind of where things started to go downhill. Now, you come out of the half. The Steelers are actually on offense and doing decently. They drive down the field. 3rd and 14, they almost pick up a first down with Pat Freiermuth, but he's not able to get there. It's at the Seattle 9. They elect to kick the field goal. It's a short field goal. He makes it 17-7 at the time. Then Ben really starts just struggling again. We see what we've seen for the past, just not able to do anything, 3-and-out. The Seahawks defense is able to do what they want. Next set, Ben fumbles, really bad fumble. Ben's pump fake is one of the most dangerous in the game to this day, even at his age and where he's at as a player. However, this time it failed him. I don't remember the last time I saw a pump fake fail him, but he pump faked really hard, pump faked again, and he fumbled the ball, and Kerry Hyder Jr. was able to recover. So now, this was after the Seahawks had tied the game 17-7 because the defense had started failing. I was pointing out when I was live tweeting the game. I don't know why with the Steelers when it rains it pours. Like you can't just have one failure. You have to have failure on every single piston. Like every single thing that was firing comes to a halt. It's like a circuit. So if the defense starts sucking, the offense is guaranteed to also start sucking for no reason. I don't know why it is because at the same time they both started sucking and now you have this fumble. Now you're scared because the Seahawks offense has been moving and the Steelers defense has just been absolutely getting destroyed. Luckily, the defense gets a 3-and-out. It was like the first stop the entire time. Trey Norwood gets a solid tackle for a loss on 3rd and 10 on Freddie Swain for a 4-yard loss. Solid. But then the Steelers have to punt again. They're not doing anything. Now the defense comes back out. You're still scared because they've been, after the halftime adjustments, the Seahawks made a lot of them, and the Steelers were really struggling. You're still not sure they're going to stop, but they come through again. They do come through. T.J. Watt gets a tackle for a loss, and then they have to punt from their own 23. That leads to the Steelers getting the offense back started again. It's funny. The defense got started again, and then the Steelers offense got started again. Now, they're able to drive downfield, get Boswell a 52-yard field goal, and we're all solid. So now we get to the Seahawks again. They get a field goal, and then the Steelers have to punt. After that, the Steelers are up. It's tied 20-20 in overtime now. I'm sorry. After this, let me go back. I forgot to talk about the whole scandal at the end of the game. So the Seahawks at the end of the game were able to drive down 9 plays, 50 yards in a minute and 30 and get a field goal to tie the game 20-20. There's a whole discrepancy at the end of the game. Freddie Swain wasn't able to get out of bounds, and I'm sorry. I apologize. DK Metcalf wasn't able to get out of bounds. James Pierre comes up and forces a fumble, and the Seahawks are able to recover it, but the time is running off the clock. There's like no time left. It's like 2 seconds as they have to spike it. The refs stopped the game to check if it was a catch, and it was never not even close to a catch. That was never even a question, and it gave the Seahawks life. On the Heinz screen, the Heinz Field screen, it showed double zeros on the time clock that the game was over, no overtime. However, because the refs stopped it, they basically got a free play to stop it, and then they were able to kick a 43-yard field goal, send it to overtime. Steelers defense comes through again. The Steelers defense started putting it up. They stop them. They have to punt. Steelers offense doesn't do anything. 3 plays, 9 yards, punt. Then this is where T.J. Watt comes in. He fumbles. The Steelers immediately kick a field goal, win. So, as I said, Ben Roethlisberger started so strong. 2 touchdowns in the first half, and then started with a field goal on the first drive. But I felt like really struggled towards the end. I know me and John talked about this, but both teams were looking at each other like this is our get right. At first, the Steelers dominated the Seahawks defense as they should. Then the Seahawks defense was able to come through and dominate the Steelers offense like they should have, basically, because they were looking at each other like this is a get right game because it plays into each other's weaknesses. So I'm not really surprised the Steelers offense struggled. I said coming into the game I thought that they would struggle to put up more than 17 in most games, so I'm just hoping for 20. They put up 23, which is what they needed. I thought 20 would have done it, and realistically 20 could have if not for the end of the game and the defense really struggling in the third quarter. The defense just really had a tough third quarter. That was like the worst quarter because the Seahawks scored 14. But yeah, now let's talk about some other positions. Wide receiver. I already talked about Deontay Johnson. There were some weird discrepancies. The first wide receiver to catch a ball in this game was James Washington. He played 7 snaps for the rest of the game. That is unacceptable. The team elected for Ray McCloud. Ike Hillard came out, the wide receiver coach, and said, yeah, that's on me. I didn't really get James Washington prepared for the position that Juju is in, and Ray McCloud's the next backup, so it elected for Ray McCloud. And I thought McCloud did a fine job on offense for who he is. He had 2 targets, 2 catches, and that's basically good enough for me from him. But you should be playing James Washington. I find that to be unacceptable that James Washington is just still sitting on the bench even after a Juju Smith-Schuster injury. The team is so against putting Chase Claypool in the slot, and it's just so stupid because they should either have James Washington trained for the slot, or they should be moving Chase Claypool there, who would really excel there, and especially after seeing this game. I don't know how after seeing this game, because a big loser for me coming out of this game was Chase Claypool. I thought he absolutely sucked, had a really bad game all in all, with penalties and just not making plays and just a really bad game. After he had dominated in the slot last game, it's just like, it seems like a easy choice. I mean, he was targeted seven times. He got 2 catches for 17 yards. Move him into the slot. Put James Washington in that position because James Washington knows it already. Get your best players on the field. I like Ray McCloud. I'm bigger on him than I feel like most of Steeler Nation. I feel like everyone forgets what it was like before Ray McCloud with returners and stuff. We never had a decent returner. It was always bad. And now we have a decent one. I'm not going to say Ray McCloud is perfect because he had a head-scratching return in this game as well, but he also has the big ones. And it's like it averages out to okay, and it's like people are mad about that he's only okay. Like the last good returner we had was Antonio Brown when he was a returner, when he wasn't a wide receiver, a bona fide wide receiver 1 yet. So, point is, I'm not as hard on people as on Ray McCloud as other people, but I don't like him on offense. He's not your best wide receiver left. Like, you still have James Washington, and he should be getting more playing time. They said they're going to correct that, and I hope they do going forward. I hope they use a bye week if they're still practicing to get James Washington into a bigger role so that he could get more chances because I just think he's the better player than Ray-Ray McCloud. I think McCloud has things to offer for the offense with Juju Smith-Schuster down, but not as much as James Washington, not on a case-by-case basis. Ray-Ray McCloud gives you speed, which is nice because the Steelers don't really have that from any other wide receiver, not like his. And he gives you that kind of like Matt Canada offense guy feel, like he could do the jet sweeps and stuff. That's where Juju was doing the jet sweeps and stuff from his position, and that makes sense that you put Ray-Ray McCloud in there for the jet sweeps that Juju was doing, and it might even work better than when Juju was doing it. Juju's kind of like he's not slow, but like he's bigger and slower than McCloud, so it's a different kind. So he could kind of put his shoulder down and run forward, which is unfortunately what got him injured, but Ray-Ray McCloud could beat them with speed instead. So that's where Ray-Ray McCloud sits. I feel like Ray-Ray McCloud should be getting like the 10 snaps a game that we saw from James Washington this past game, but that's neither here nor there. So unfortunately, we'll have to see going forward what they do. We have the Browns coming out of the Steelers have a bye. Get healthy. They're pretty solid already with injury-wise. We're kind of getting healthy. But get healthy. Hopefully get James Washington some more snaps somehow. Find a way to get him on the field. Even if you have to switch positions, just try and move Chase Claypool. That'd be great. Moving to the tight ends, happy with them as well. I thought the tight ends had an amazing day. Eric Ebron included. I thought Eric Ebron's, as I said, the jet sweep touchdown was really cool. Ebron had a really solid 2 grabs. He caught both his catches, and one was basically draped in coverage and double coverage. Big catch for him when he's been dropping balls. Freiermuth continues to excel. I mean, he's getting first downs like an absolute madman. He's really good. I really appreciate him on the team. He really gives me Heath Miller vibes. That he's just kind of the safety option. He's been really, really good at that. He's basically been the guy to get like that first down that you want the past 2 games. So I really appreciate his role on offense. Now let's go to running backs. Running backs were I thought that they did all right. The Seahawks were stacking the box. The Seahawks were using Joel Adams exactly how we expected. They needed to put him in the box more. It's making a tough time for a Steelers offensive line that's still not together yet. The Steelers offensive line isn't great. So they're working on it. They're getting better. I see improvement from the line every week, but they're just not there yet. And Najee was having a tough time running against those stacked boxes. I mean, he was still doing good for him. He was getting those extra yards, but the successful run rate to start the game wasn't very good. He got better as time went on. He's kind of like that kind of back, though. He kind of gets better as time went on, but 24 carries for 81 yards, 3.4 average, only along a 10. Pretty consistent, but definitely could be better. But I think that's because the offensive line could play better. The offensive line plays better because you have to be able to run against loaded boxes. A lot of NFL teams can do it. I mean, the Titans do it literally every week, and Derrick Henry runs for like 200 yards every week. The Steelers got to learn to do it somehow. The offensive line is improving. It's fun. It's something to note that Zach Banner was inactive for this game. So even though he was off IR, he was made inactive. So he did not get any burn this game yet. It was still Chukwuma Okorafor and Dan Moore, at least to start. Yeah, we'll have to see next week if Zach Banner's ready. I'm not sure. They didn't list him on the injury report, so I'm not sure what exactly happened there. I guess they weren't ready because he didn't, I don't know, train enough, or maybe they were just happy with their tackles where they're at because they're improving. Not sure. It'd be really bad if they ended up sticking with Chukwuma Okorafor and Dan Moore Jr. or Joe Haig. I'm pretty sure Dan Moore Jr. got injured in this game. I don't know if I'm just imagining that, or I feel like Joe Haig ended up coming into the game. But regardless, that would be very bad if they paid Zach Banner $4.5 million over 2 years to do nothing, to be a bench warmer. They would need to rectify that. That would be a huge waste of money when they could have spent the offensive line money elsewhere. Again, Joe Thuney with the voidable years would have been possible. Definitely. I mean, with voidable years, this new thing that the Steelers like doing, you could have gotten a good offensive lineman. But we'll have to see going forward what happens. We'll see if a good week of practice gets Zach Banner back into the lineup. They might just not want to shake up things. They might like where it is right now and just want to keep everything together. we'll have to see coming out of this week where the Steelers' heads are at with that. But I do want to say, the offensive line in general for this game did solid. You kind of expected that because the Seahawks pass rush just kind of sucks. But they only got one quarterback hit on Ben Roethlisberger, which is nice. They got that one sack, technically, because Ben fumbled, I guess. Or is that another sack? I'm trying to think. No. Yeah, no, it's that fumble counts as a sack. Because I was looking at the stats. It's like, there's one sack for a team sack. So, yeah. So basically, they didn't really allow anything because that wasn't even on the offensive line. I thought that they did a good job. They did their job in the pass rush department. They're showing improvement every week, as I said. And I don't expect them to play well against a stacked box yet. They're young. They're struggling. They're learning how to play together with each other, and it's a learning process. I was happy with that. That kind of wraps that up, and now it just kind of leaves special teams. Special teams already pointed out. Ray McLeod had a mixed day. He had good returns. He had some returns that were head scratching, like late in the second quarter when he took it out, and I think he only got it to like the 15. That was tough. Chris Boswell continues his All-Pro campaign, second team All-Pro, by hitting a 52-yard field goal, not missing a kick. He was 3 for 3 on field goals and 2 for 2 for extra points with a long of 52. He continues, and Presley Harvin had a really good bounce-back game. I mean, Mike Tomlin said he needed to. He owed us one, and he did. I mean, he had a long of 58. 4 of his punts were inside the 20. He really helped the Steelers' offense and defense out by flipping the field as much as he did. So he did a good job as well. He averaged 47.9 yards per punt. A really good punter. So that kind of wraps it up for the Steelers in this game. I personally think that this was about what I was expecting. I mean, as I said, I predicted a 24-20 win, so this was literally what I was expecting. I don't think we learned much from this. I think that the Steelers' offense doing decently against a bad defense doesn't really tell us much, and the Steelers' defense struggling might tell us a little bit that they might not just be as good as they were last year, but we'll have to see going forward, because I still think I am holding out hope that Minkah doesn't continue like this for the rest of the year. Minkah playing at his level will change everything for this team. It will literally fix so much, because if you're looking at both your safeties are playing at below average right now. If you take one from below average to even just Pro Bowl, not even All Pro, you're talking about a dramatic change. Again, there's 11 people. Making 1 in 11, going from bad to really good, is a drastic change for a team. So I'm holding out hope that still happens, and the defense can keep us in games. Because right now, I still don't believe in the offense. I think in most games they're only going to be able to put up 17, and it's going to be on the defense to pull it together going forward. But yeah, so the Steelers won this one. Steelers were able to pull it out, so good for them. They get to enjoy the bye week going into next week. So again, hopefully they get healthy, and then we're looking forward to the Browns. The Browns are looking to be without Baker Mayfield. I guess we can go into NFL news now. The Browns are going to be without Baker Mayfield more than likely because he has a torn labrum, in his shoulder, and then he has a broken bone in his shoulder. It's a non-throwing arm, so it's something that he could play. There's a chance. He really wanted to play this Thursday against the Broncos, and they just wouldn't let him. And I think that's the right choice. I mean, Baker Mayfield is the Browns' quarterback of the future. He's the first good thing the Browns have had in, 20 years. And he's only been, he's been solid. I wouldn't say, he's obviously not Patrick Mahomes. I'm not going to call him bad, but he's just, not Patrick Mahomes or the Lamar Jackson level or something like that. And that's not achievable for every quarterback, but he's been solid, and that's been a lot more than the Browns have seen in 20 years. So they need to protect him, and I think that to do that, they need to protect him from himself, because I'm not sure it's a smart idea with those two injuries combined, a broken bone and the torn labrum, that he should be continuing to play. He actually finished that game where he hurt both. Absolute madman. That's crazy, and I'm honestly shocked he was able to do that, but, the Browns shouldn't allow him to do that. If they're doing that, I feel like it's negligence. So the Steelers might be facing Case Keenum coming out of the bye. We'll have to see what they do. I think that they need to put Baker Mayfield on short-term IR for his own good. Just give 3 weeks, let him rehab a little bit. It's not going to fix itself because the torn labrum is like a 6-month recovery. But, they need to get him at least some time to heal something. He can't just play with that. They gotta give him some sort of rehab or something. But yeah, we'll have to see. I'll update you on that going forward to talk to see as we get closer to that game. As for week 6, I really didn't see that much of. I don't really want to lie about that. I wasn't able to watch a lot of the games other than the Steelers game. I saw that the Ravens absolutely blew out the Chargers, and I did not see that coming. I saw the Cardinals absolutely blow out the Browns, and I did not see that coming. I thought the Cardinals were going to win, but I thought it was going to be close. Things I did see, the Jaguars in London are a different breed. They won. We called that. Me and John both saw that, and then we also saw the Titans game on Monday Night Football. I actually was able to watch that one. The Monday Night Football game, I said that I smelt a trap game and the Titans were going to win, and the Titans won. It was close. It was one call away from being completely different, but the Titans always would have been plus 5.5. John also called that as well. We both kind of felt that. The AFC is wide open. This is really good for the Steelers. With the Browns in the state they are, the Ravens I'm still not sold on. I'm waiting for the Ravens to show me that they could beat our defense, and this year might be the year. But I feel more comfortable about going against the Ravens than I do about going against the Browns if they had Baker Mayfield. I feel like the Steelers have a better chance of beating the Ravens because they're not able to do much on offense against us, and that's helpful. So, anyway, the AFC is wide open. We have the tiebreaker with the Bills, so that would be really cool if the Steelers are able to do something with that and make it worth something. And the Steelers are only one game back from the Bills. The Steelers are 3-3, and the Bills are 4-2. And obviously, as I said, if the Bills win one more, the Bills lose one more, and the Steelers win one more, they'd have a tiebreaker if that were ever to occur. Bills are likely to win their division though, so that would be something that if the Steelers were somehow miraculously able to come back and win their division, which I don't think that's going to happen. As the Bengals currently have the tiebreaker over the Steelers, and they're doing really well. Just blew out the Lions. Did not watch that game either, but I saw it was a blowout. It's going to be tough. The Steelers are more than likely competing for a wild card spot, but there's a good chance of it. If they could beat the Browns, they're in good position to claim a wild card spot because they have the tiebreaker over the Broncos. The Raiders still have a spot, but I think that they should drop out as well. The Raiders have the tiebreaker over the Steelers, obviously. So, just some early talks for playoffs. I know it's a little bit early to do that, but with the bye week coming up, there's not going to be much to talk about. So, there do be that. Anyway, follow us on Twitter at Stronger Than Steel Podcast. It's actually I think we changed our Twitter handle. I actually have to give you guys the new handle. The new handle is at Stronger_Steel. We didn't change it. I was just wrong. But so follow us there because you'll be able to see updates on this. And because I wasn't able to get this episode up in time, you'd see that on the Twitter, I had called the Thursday night game because the Broncos and Browns game has already happened. Cleveland was favored by 1.5. I, on Twitter, said that I'd pick the Browns to cover, so I was correct. Both of those teams were super injured going into that game. I watched basically all of that game. No Nick Chubb, no Kareem Hunt. D'Ernest Johnson went off for the Browns, and this is the example of why you pay running backs because obviously you couldn't have won that game without Nick Chubb or Kareem Hunt, your two top backs, because you only had D'Ernest Johnson. That's crazy. Pay running backs. Okay, but seriously, if I ever get abducted, my what I'm going to say for people to know is that, wow, I really want the Steelers to pay running backs, or I really want the Steelers to draft another running back in the first round. If I ever tweet that, please know that I am in serious danger and I need help. Okay? So, in case my sarcasm isn't clear, D'Ernest Johnson is just another proof that running backs hardly matter. The top ones do matter, like Derrick Henry. is carrying the Titans currently, but that's like a rare case. It's not going to happen very often, and most of the time it's the offensive line. If you build an offensive line, anyone could run behind it, and you'll have a pass. You'll have some a line for your quarterback to pass behind it, and he won't get hurt as often. Build an offensive line. Don't worry about running backs. That's how the Browns won this game. So, I think that wraps up the Stronger Than Steel podcast today. Thank you for listening. You can check out our podcast on YouTube and now on our new spot of Anchor. We are the Stronger Than Steel podcast, so you can look us up with that name. And everybody, have a good day, have a good night, and go Steelers. Bye.